"Step aside," Grant said, glancing at the guard's uniform. "People like me don't wait behind people like you." A few guests in line laughed. Caleb kept one hand on the guest list. Grant leaned closer, enjoying the attention. "You're a security guard. Know your place." Caleb lowered his eyes for a moment, not from fear. He had simply learned that anger rarely improved a situation. Several yards behind him, Ethan, the company's CEO, had stopped walking. He was not watching Grant. He was watching Caleb, and there was nothing amused about his expression. Before we continue, stay with this story. The reason Ethan trusted that quiet guard would soon matter to everyone in the building had nothing to do with his uniform. Caleb had worked security for almost 2 years. He arrived early, checked restricted doors twice, and carried a small, black notebook. At the end of every shift, he wrote down 3 unusual things: a door left open, a badge used at the wrong time, or a visitor where they shouldn't be. His coworkers teased him. Caleb never stopped. Years earlier, Caleb had worked corporate security for another company. He discovered confidential files were being accessed after hours. The records pointed toward one employee, but camera footage proved otherwise. He reported it. Management dismissed him. A month later, confidential information disappeared. Caleb never forgot the lesson. Suspicious things rarely look suspicious one at a time. Months later, Caleb quietly warned Ethan that an employee badge had been duplicated. Ethan checked. Caleb was right. After that, Ethan occasionally asked for his opinion, not because Caleb had a title, because he noticed things. Tonight, Caleb had a problem he couldn't ignore. Grant was one of the company's biggest investors. His name was on the guest list, but beside it was a red note requiring secondary verification. Caleb calmly explained that he needed to confirm the credential. Grant laughed. "You're checking me?" Several people in line smiled. Caleb nodded. "It's procedure." Grant looked at the uniform, then at the guests watching. "Do you even know who I am?" Caleb did. That was exactly why he couldn't wave him through. The same badge number had appeared earlier that week at 2:13 in the morning. Grant's schedule showed he had been nowhere near the office. Caleb had reported it. Nothing happened. Now it was being used again. Grant's smile hardened. "Then call whoever you're supposed to call." Caleb reached for his radio. Before he could speak, Ethan stepped forward. The laughter faded. "What's wrong?" Ethan asked. Caleb handed him the guest list. "There is a problem with the authorization." Ethan read the note. Then he looked at the badge number. His expression changed. Grant noticed. For the first time that evening, he stopped smiling. Ethan asked where the alert came from. Caleb pointed toward the reception desk. "The request came 40 minutes ago. The employee number is valid, but the authorization was entered afterward." Grant immediately protested. "I was invited by the board." "I know," Ethan said. Caleb opened the security tablet. The same credentials had been used twice earlier that week after midnight. Grant stared at him. "So someone copied my badge?" Caleb nodded. "Or someone wants us to think they did." Ethan looked at him. "Why?" Caleb opened his notebook. The previous incidents had all happened near the finance offices. A restricted door opened after its employee had left. A temporary badge appeared on the wrong floor. And then Grant's credentials appeared in the same area. 3 incidents, 1 pattern. "Why didn't I hear about this?" Ethan asked. "I reported them." "To whom?" "The normal security channel." Ethan understood. Someone had been treating Caleb's warnings as routine. Then Ethan's phone vibrated. He looked at the screen. "The finance server was just accessed." Grant's face tightened. "You think I did it?" Caleb shook his head. "No." "Then who?" Caleb studied the access record. "The person using your credentials isn't near the finance office." He pointed toward the entrance. "You've been standing here the entire time." Grant said nothing. For the first time, the guard he had mocked was the person proving he was innocent. Caleb studied the record again. The login had come from an internal terminal. Someone was already inside. He looked toward the private elevators. "The records room." Ethan followed him. They moved down the corridor. Caleb stopped outside the records room. The security light was green. That door should be locked. He tried the handle. It opened. Inside, an employee stood beside a computer terminal with an external drive connected. He froze. Ethan stepped inside. "What are you doing?" The employee tried to close the screen. Caleb spoke calmly. "Don't!" The man looked at him with contempt. "You're just security." Caleb didn't react. "I know." He pointed toward the monitor. "That's why I noticed the door." The screen showed confidential financial documents. The pattern became clear. The employee had been copying sensitive files while using stolen credentials to make the activity appear connected to Grant. Grant had been chosen because he was the easiest person to blame. The man who had mocked Caleb at the entrance suddenly understood how close he had come to being accused of something he hadn't done. Back in the ballroom, Grant approached Caleb. The arrogance was gone. "I was wrong about you," he said quietly. "I judged you because of the uniform." Caleb looked at him. "I've been judged by worse." Grant lowered his eyes. "I owe you an apology." Caleb simply nodded. He didn't return the humiliation. Later that night, Ethan offered Caleb a position in corporate security investigations. Caleb hesitated. He had spent years avoiding attention. "You don't have to become someone else," Ethan said. "We need people who notice what others walk past." Caleb accepted. Months later, his little black notebook became part of the company's security process. He still carried it. And Grant never forgot the night he had looked at a uniform and assumed he understood the man wearing it. The people in that line had laughed because Caleb appeared to have the least authority in the room. They never realized that, for a few critical minutes, he was the person protecting everyone else's. If this story reminded you that a person's position doesn't always reveal their value, share it with someone who has ever been underestimated. Subscribe for more stories about dignity, courage, and the quiet people who notice what others miss. And tell us honestly, if you were Caleb, would you have helped the man who humiliated you or let him discover the truth the hard way?